Scott Harris, who was hired as the Detroit Tigers president of baseball operations on Monday, and it somewhat came out of left field. I mean, there were names tossed around, and his was not. But this is a name that Tiger fans should be excited about. Known as a rising star in the executive field for Major League Baseball. Only 35, 36 years old. And when you heard that press conference on Tuesday, you couldn't help but think, man, we have a competent guy at the helm. We have a guy that knows baseball. I mean, the guy literally used OPS Plus when he was talking to Jack and Shep on the broadcast. When's the last time you've ever heard a president of baseball operations in Detroit use advanced metrics? That should excite you, because that means that they are giving a very critical eye to the way that they evaluate players. Now, there were some things said in that press conference, and I do want to review them because I listened to it intently, knowing that I was going to be talking about it on this show. These are the things that were said in that press conference. Chris Ilitch said that Scott Harris has a tremendous desire to innovate. Scott said that he is going to focus on young talent and making sure that young talent, you get the most out of that young talent, and that this team commands a strike zone on both sides of the ball, because he said that the strike zone affects everything in the game of baseball, and he's correct. He also said that this was a challenge, but with challenge comes huge opportunity, which is awesome. But one of the best things I think that he said, this is not my team. He said, I'm going to be listening to the people who have been involved, and I'm going to listen more than I talk, which I personally like. You got two ears for a reason and one mouth. He's going to listen to those people that know the situation, that know the players, and he's going to then make his assessment based on how he would normally assess, but based on also what they say. But he said, this is not my team. This is Detroit's team. He said AJ and the guys are going to be in people's living rooms more often than some family members during the summers. And to me, that guy gets it. He's going to put a product on the field that the fans are going to be happy with. Now, is it going to happen in 2023? There's going to be moves made, because I love when he also said that, listen, we cannot be risk averse, and we're not going to chase what other people are doing because we won't do it as well. We have to innovate. We cannot be risk averse. Awesome. Because it seems like we've made a lot of safe and risk averse moves since 2017. Take a chance. Take calculated risk. Because with risk comes reward. The other thing on this resume with Scott Harris is this. He's been around winners. Listen, I told you, you give a blank check to Theo Epstein to come run this team. Well, we didn't get Theo Epstein, which is okay. You know why? Because we got the guy that worked with Theo Epstein, that learned at the feet of Theo Epstein. Because he was part of the Chicago Cubs organization since 2012. Saw them through the World Championship, and then went with Farhan Zaidi to the San Francisco Giants to be the GM, while Zaidi was the president of baseball operations. And the Giants last year, 107 wins. Got veteran players and figured out how to develop them, how to get them better. I like that. But here's the thing. This guy is going to set a vision for this team, and you are either going to get in line with that vision or you are not going to be around the team. It's going to be very interesting. I will not be shocked if there are major moves that happen this offseason, and some that we maybe don't necessarily agree with. But again, let's trust the guy that is very competent in what he is doing. And I said it before in the show, and I'm going to say it again right now. His press conference should have put people on notice. Everybody in the organization right now should be on notice, including AJ Hinch. Now, I don't think that him and AJ Hinch are going to be, button heads and at odds. I think that they actually can probably meld their philosophies together, and it can be a very good relationship. But I'll tell you this, it doesn't seem like AJ Hinch was involved in this process as much as we were led to believe that he was going to be involved in this process. But I'm telling you right now, every single player on that roster better be on notice. He's going to have a conversation with Miguel Cabrera, no doubt. Does Miguel Cabrera play next season? It's all going to be dependent upon Scott Harris. Here's the other thing, right? He said he's going to bring in a GM. So he's going to be the guy that runs the baseball, but it's going to be filtered through this GM. There's no timeline for that, but there will be a GM in place. And it's fun and it's exciting. And for the first time, it seems like there are competent leaders in charge of all of the Detroit sports teams. So much so that Steve Yzerman was even involved in the process of bringing Scott Harris to the Tigers. Does anybody know Detroit better than Steve Yzerman? Probably not. This is exciting. And if you are a Tigers fan, I'm going to tell you this. Sit back and watch it happen. Reserve your judgments for a little bit. This guy's young, this guy's innovative, and this guy has a track record. I'm going to trust what he says, and I'm going to trust what he plans to do, even if maybe I don't necessarily understand right away where he's going with it. I'm excited. Welcome to Detroit. Scott Harris, I am excited that you are here. I cannot wait to see what moves you make, including who you do not bring back on this team next year because of how much of a disaster 2022 was, which right? I mean, he kind of smirked when he talked about the Tigers farm system and said, I'm not really going to tell you what we and the Giants thought about the Tigers farm system, kind of tongue-in-cheek, right? Which means there's going to be changes. There's going to be development. The key is going to be development, and that is awesome. But not just developing. He said, we need to get young players, we need to develop those young players, and we need to get the most out of those young players and keep them around, which is big, which is what we talked about with the Atlanta Braves, right? The Atlanta Braves are doing that type of thing now. So it's going to be very interesting. I cannot wait for the season to end, not because I want baseball to be over, but because I want him to get to work. And I want to see what he's going to do to put a good product on the field in 2023. That is going to do it for us here on The Corner today.